Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're going to take a look at my Game Week 30 team selection video. So I apologize for the lack of content for the past week, and that's because I've been ill the whole week, but thankfully I am back feeling well now, right, and I'm well enough to make this video at least for Game Week 30. So I will go through my team for Game Week 29, how I did in Game Week 29, and then take a look at the transfer plans and also my team for Game Week 30. Right, so hopefully you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on the channel by the end of the season, so it'd be great if you guys could just take a second out of your day to just help me out and click that button. Alright, so we'll get on quickly with Game Week 29, and basically I did really well. I had 145 points on the bench boost for Game Week 29. Right, so let me know how you guys did for Game Week 29. I saw a lot of big scores in Game Week 29, so probably the bench boost worked well for most people. Right, so I jumped from 241k up to 113k in the world, so I am very close to my initial target, which was the top 100k. But now that we are here, I think I want to try and push on a little bit more and try to aim for the top 50k by the end of the season. Right, so that will be the new goal for the end of the season, trying to push into that top 50k. And I think with the free hit in Game Week 32 that is planned, I think if I nail that free hit, I can actually break into the top 50k. So that will be the aim, right? And for now, it's just building up towards that that squad, right? So we'll go through how I did for Game Week 29, and as I mentioned, I did pretty well on the bench. I got 28 points, right, and that is the bench that is my weakest 4 players out of the starting 11, right? So if I wasn't bench boosting, I would go with this first 11 that's on the screen right now, and those would be on the bench, and those were the points that I won't get. And that's how I kind of judge whether it was a successful bench boost or not, how many points I would be leaving on my bench, and that would be 28 points, right? So thankfully I had the bench boost chip active, and yeah, the bench boost worked really well, particularly because of Zuma. So I'll go through a little bit as to why Zuma is in the team for those of you guys who missed out on the deadline stream. So basically my 2 transfers last week was to do Zinchenko to Shaw, and that was obviously with a long-term move with the future game weeks in mind, loads of doubles for Manchester United. Right, we'll touch on Luke Shaw later on regarding his injury status as I select my team for Game Week 30. Right, but I brought him in for Game Week 29. And the other transfer that I had, right, which was part of a 2 free transfer move that I made, right, was to do Rico Henry, who was on my bench, to Zuma. Right, so that was the second transfer that I did, and I could actually have done Saka to Bruno Fernandes, which was actually part of the plan, but thankfully, right, I didn't get that Saka news. I know most of you guys were tuned in to Let's Talk FPL Andy's stream, and basically he revealed just 5 minutes before the deadline that Saka was not starting, right, which turned out to be true as well, right? And if I had known that news, I think I would have done Saka to Bruno Fernandes, but because I didn't know that, I stuck with my move of doing Rico Henry to Kurt Zuma, which turned out to be the better move in terms of FPL points. And in hindsight now, I think looking at the way Bruno Fernandes was playing in Double Game Week 29, he was very deep, and Ten Hag actually really heaped praises about him in that build-up role, that kind of number 8 role where he's linking the defense to the midfield. He kind of liked Bruno Fernandes in that position, and in hindsight, I think not moving Bruno Fernandes turned out to be a good thing, because moving forward, at least for Game Week 30, I think Bruno Fernandes will continue to be in that role. It is looking likely, right? And so I think I can delay bringing Bruno Fernandes in a little bit more, at least until Game Week 31, right? Which is a good thing, because that also means that I can keep Saka for now in Game Week 30, and then in Game Week 31 as well, right? So in hindsight, I think I'm glad, right, I didn't get the news, but those of you guys who got the news, I'm sure you guys moved Saka to Bruno Fernandes, and obviously it is still too early to say whether that move paid off or not, because that is a long-term move, right? Same with the Zinchenko to Shaw move, so that will take a while before we can actually assess whether it is a good move in the long term, right? But for now, at least for this particular game week, not doing Saka to Bruno Fernandes and instead doing Rico Henry to Zuma, gained me a lot of points, right? And to be exact, right, 8 points, right? So Raya 8 points on the bench, Zuma 12 points. The first game he got a clean sheet, the second game he got that one goal against Newcastle, right, which turned out to be a really good situation for me because Zuma was a big differential and a lot of other people were already doubled or tripled up on Newcastle defense, right? So that kind of helped me jump rank on those people as well. Then Kane, of course, with the penalty against Everton. Saka, of course, we know came off the bench for that one pointer, right? As for my starting 11 players, I think they all did really well except for James Maddison and Luke Shaw, who obviously came off with a little bit of a hamstring situation. We'll touch on that a little bit more later on. But James Maddison, a little bit disappointed there. I actually did think that he would get something, at least an assist, right? Or I actually did think that he would get some goals this game week, but the situation that Leicester in right now isn't that promising at all, right? So I probably will keep him for game week 30 against Bournemouth, but after that I think I'll look to ship him out, right? But aside from these two players, the team did really well. Kepa with 8 points, Estepinian 7 points, a clean sheet in his second game. Trippier, of course, the GOAT, right? Getting 12 points in the first game and then 2 points against West Ham. Botman 9 points as well. Shaw, we touched on him. Maddison as well. Rashford 12 pointer because of that second game where he got 10 points, scored a goal and 3 bonus points as well, so that's really good. And then Mitoma, I think Mitoma is someone that I'm quite thankful I have him, because if I had a choice to go back in time, I may have gone for McAllister plus March. But Mitoma is the one that, even though his numbers haven't been that good, he's been ticking along so well. And I think this is where the eye test also kind of comes in, where someone may not be doing well in terms of stats, but if you look at him, he does look the sharpest of all the players when the chances are presented to him. So I'm pretty happy I have him, and I probably will keep Mitoma for probably the end of, for the rest of the season. Same goes for March as well. I think his numbers are really good. He is pretty unlucky not to get more than 8 points for this game week for sure. Right, so both firmly in my plans to be kept all the way until the end of the season. And then up front, Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney, both whom I didn't expect to do that well this game week because both of them had 2 away games as part of their double game week 29 fixtures. But of course, Watkins, 1 goal in each of his games and 5 bonus points in total. Incredible performance, actually the highest scorer in this whole team based on his score, right? 17 points, really awesome. And then Ivan Toney as well. Didn't expect him to get much, but of course he got 1 goal against Brighton in the first game, and that was enough to get him 11 points in total. So overall, really happy with this performance, and really happy to be very close into the top 100k now. I'm just 113k, so it is actually only about 5 to 6 points difference, right, that would get me into the top 100k. So I think that is attainable. So I really want to try and push on to the top 50k as I mentioned. And let's take a look now at my game week 30 team. Do let me know what how you guys did for game week 29. Drop the scores in the comments below. I'm sure most of you guys did really well on the bench boost as well, so I'll be interested to know. And let's take a look at my game week 30 plans. So looking at game week 30 now, I'm not going to beat about the bush and make it seem as if I'm going to make a very exciting transfer. I'm just going to do Ivan Toney to Erling Haaland, which is a move that a lot of you guys are already doing, right? And I'm going to do the same. I'm in a similar situation, right? The plan was always to sell Haaland in game week 28 for Ollie Watkins, and then bring Haaland back in game week 30 when he plays Southampton away. Now, I know his groin injury could be putting some people off, but he has been back in training for a while now, so it's looking likely like he will start against Southampton. And I say this because he hasn't played football in a really long time, right? Since the 2-week international break, he hasn't started any games at all, and he will play Bayern Munich in the Champions League midweek after game week 30, right? So you would expect that Pep wants to get some minutes in him before that game. You wouldn't want him to go into the Champions League cold, and for that reason I think he will start. Maybe he plays 60 minutes and by then the game is wrapped up. Maybe he's got a return or two and then he comes off, right? So I'm perfectly fine with that, and for that reason I think I'm going to captain him. Alright, so after doing Ivan Toney out for Erling Haaland, this is how the team looks like, and it pretty much sets itself. Right, so Kepa, I'm definitely going to start him ahead of Raya. There is some doubt whether he will lose his place because Lampard is in now for Chelsea, and Kepa and Lampard had a little bit of a fallout, but I think Kepa would still start, right? Simply because Kepa has been a little bit more match sharp and match fit, right, as compared to Mendy, who probably has just come back, right, from injury, right? So at this point in time, I'm going to start Kepa, and then in the event he doesn't start, Raya can just come in, right? So no qualms there. In the defense, I'm going to go for the double Newcastle defense of Trippier and Botman, who plays Brentford away. I don't necessarily like this double up, but if you take a look at my other players, there's Zuma, who plays Fulham away, there's Estupinian, Tottenham away. Arguably, I can actually start Zuma, and the plan was actually to start Zuma this game week, but looking at how West Ham defended, I think I really don't like the situation that they're in right now. Right, so I'm changing the plan a little bit, and I'm starting Botman ahead of Zuma. Of course, Zuma may just come in if Luke Shaw does not start. Now, the situation with Luke Shaw, the benefit of actually recording this video a little bit later, right, is that I get a little bit of updates on Luke Shaw, and simply the news from the camp is that his substitution in game week 29 was more of a precaution. Right, they thought they wanted to be safe with him, and basically he was feeling something in his hamstring. So after scans, etc., and taking a look deeper at his injury, right, it does seem like it is less serious than initially thought. So even if he's not back in game week 30, I think he will be back in game week 31 or the game weeks beyond that, where we will want him for those doubles, etc. Loads of fixtures on the horizon for Manchester United, and that's precisely why we brought Luke Shaw in the first place. Right, so I'm still going to keep Luke Shaw. Even if he doesn't start, I think I can just have Zuma or Estupinian off my bench. Right, so in midfield, there's Maddison, Rashford, Mitoma, and Saka. And this midfield kind of picks itself. Right, Maddison against Bournemouth at home. I know he was forced off in the Aston Villa game, which was the second game of the double game week 29 fixtures for Maddison. Right, he was forced off with a little bit of a cramp, but after the presser for Leicester City, it is looking like Maddison is still fit. Right, so he will play this Bournemouth at home game for me, but I think in game week 31, I'm going to offload him already. Right, so moving on to the next player, Marcus Rashford has Everton at home, and I do think like Marcus Rashford is actually a captaincy shout for game week 30, but simply because I think Holland is better, the armband is on him for now. But Rashford is still ticking along very nicely, and even if Manchester United aren't scoring a lot of goals, Rashford is still the one at the end of those attacking returns, and that's why I kind of like him as well. Right, so there we have it, Rashford, and then Mitoma is the Brighton midfielder that I will start ahead of March. I think in terms of the eye test and in terms of how clinical, how sharp he is, Mitoma is still the one that I would start ahead of March. And then I have Saka. Now, initially, based on my previous plans, Bruno Fernandes was the one that was supposed to be in this position. Right, but now that I didn't make that move, as I mentioned just now when we were reviewing game week 29, right, now that I didn't move Saka to Bruno Fernandes, I'm actually pretty happy that I have Saka against Liverpool away, and I'm likely going to keep him next game week as well, where he has West Ham. Right, both of these defenses haven't been looking that good at all, and Saka, obviously, he was not feeling well in game week 29, but you fully expect him to start in game week 30 against Liverpool, and with the way that they're defending at this point in time, I definitely think like Saka can get some returns. So in hindsight, I'm pretty happy that I didn't make the move and I have Saka now. Right, so hopefully can get something against Liverpool. And up front, I have Ollie Watkins, Harry Kane, and Erling Haaland. Right, so Haaland, we touched on him just now. As for Harry Kane, he plays Brighton at home. Spurs aren't doing that well for sure. Right, they are currently under a caretaker manager, but at this point, I still feel like Spurs haven't clicked into their top gear yet. They may or may not, but even so, Harry Kane is still ticking along. He will be moved on later on in game week 33. Right, where I will sell him to fund Salah basically. I will want Salah in come game week 34 for his double, so Kane will have to make way for that. Right, so he is in the team for game week 30 until game week 33, and after that he probably leaves the team. Right, so lastly we have Ollie Watkins, Nottingham Forest at home. Watkins has been ticking along really nicely. Right, and I think at this point in time, one of the more informed forwards in the Premier League. Right, so he plays Nottingham Forest at home, every chance that he can get some returns, and I actually do favour him for this game week as well. So he has my vice captain's armband. Right, so this is how the team is lining up for game week 30. Nothing too exciting there. I think Ivan Toney to Erling Haaland is a move that could be boring. It is part of the plan, right? But I think sometimes this move has to be made, right? So I'm still going to bring him in, and I'm still going to captain him, right? And we'll see how he does in game week 30 and how the team does in game week 30. But I'm pretty happy with how the team looks like. The only player that I am a little bit afraid of is Ben Chilwell, who has been looking really sharp, right? And ideally, I would have him come into my team instead of maybe Botman, right? But I don't think I'll make that move now, especially since they have Real Madrid in sandwiched in between game week 30 and 31, and also 31 and 32. Right, so this is how my team would look like for now. Right, one free transfer used. Let me know what you guys are doing with your teams, how you get along game week 29, and also what you are planning to do for game week 30. But for now, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. And I'll catch you guys on the game week 30 deadline stream 3 hours before the deadline as always. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys again soon. Bye bye.